Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepski.
Hello and welcome back to Joe on Joe, the only podcast where we watch every episode of G.I. Joe, Real Maker and Hero in sequential order and comment on it Mystery Science style. This week, I teased it a little bit last week, but we are finally going to tackle the much anticipated, much requested public service announcements.
Dun, dun, dun.
And with me this week is none other than my Tony Randall, but not this week, Tony Randall, because no one was available. Tony Randall, because I wanted her by my side, because she herself has filmed a public service announcement.
You're right. I've done two, actually.
She's done two of them. It is my wife. It is the lovely Rebekah Slepski. Rebekah.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back to Joe on Joe.
You just reminded me of a PSA I did that I saw on Sarah Silverman, the guy in the PSA.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So first let's walk through the two PSAs you've done and end with that story because that's pretty funny. So the first PSA you did was about crossing the street?
Yeah, it was pedestrian safety in Santa Monica, and I was apparently I wasn't a bad driver, but it was basically saying that there's not, going to be a marching band coming across to let you know to stop. So make sure that you look at the signs. So what they did is they actually had a marching band walk through, and I stopped twice. Once for the marching band and the other for a person because I looked.
Right.
I learned from the PSA.
You learned from the PSA.
I
so
did.
you learned as you filmed it.
Yes.
That's exciting.
No. I already knew that.
Oh, okay.
It was the character.
Oh,
I'm an
got
excellent driver. I'm an excellent driver.
Excellent driver. So said Rain Man. So then your other PSA, what was that experience all about?
So it was for PETA, and it was, well, now it's going to get awkward because, anyways, it was for PETA, and it was basically like reframing. So it looked like these people were moving and they were leaving their dog behind.
Okay, as people do.
Right, because we're a bunch of
Because
a-holes.
whenever people move,
Well, there's some people
they just leave their animals.
Well, I would say this. When I was, when we lived in the country as a kid, sometimes you dropped dogs off, like, in the country. Maybe we were terrible people, but, like, that sometimes happened.
Fair point. But I feel like country animals are different from city animals.
Right.
And I've seen the PSA. You guys were like city dwellers.
Yeah.
You guys were like living in a nice apartment or house, and like you're straight city.
In Hollywood,
country,
like a nice Hollywood duplex.
In the country, your animals like belong to half of the country. Like half of the county.
Everybody's dogs.
Like everyone's got a share of.
I was really little. I don't remember.
Fido, I feed him
or
on
like
Tuesdays.
cats in the neighborhood.
Oh my God, cats! Yeah, not even that. But like something like I feed Fido on Tuesdays. She feeds Fido on Thursdays.
I don't know
and Fridays.
if they really do that. Maybe we were just hillbillies. I don't know.
It happens. But this portrayed a real suburbanite couple who are like, they're very well to do.
Yeah.
They lived in a very nice place.
Mm-hmm, and we're moving. We're packing things up.
They could afford nice packing boxes.
We did. But not movers, apparandly.
Not
we were doing it
movers.
ourselves.
Right.
But it
no
was
dog.
Well, it alluded to. I liked it when I first got it, but I don't know. Now it just like it's fuzzy and blah blah blah. And then you see that it's like an old toy. That maybe the guy got me when we first started dating, and that we call our dog to come with us. So that's a wonderful PSA. I agree. Don't leave your animals when you move. But then I was watching Sarah Silverman's new talk show, and there's a moment on it where there are two nude people, which is fine, great.
This was on the first episode of her
I
Hulu,
Love You, America,
her
right?
Hulu show.
And which I love. I love the show so much. But what I loved about it was like, like a real body, and she showed like a real, can I say muff on your show? A real muff.
Yeah.
Sure. Can I also...
two real people with real body parts.
I was going to also say, or a hair pie. I don't know if that is okay.
Sure.
Anyways, and then the other is because it's like one of the over-the-top networks, right? So it's the digital networks, and there's not really the rules
Right.
that it is on like cable. She showed a penis,
Right.
the man's penis, and then I looked at
let's
my
be
husband.
clear. It was a man's.
It was a man's penis.
It was a man's.
And
not,
no, she wasn't wearing like a strap on or anything. And I looked over to my husband and I went, "Huh, that's the guy I did that PETA PSA with. I've now seen his penis." Okay. So it was a wonderful experience.
So these are the things that public service announcements lead you to.
Well, it's funny. PETA is all about no meat.
That's terrible. Don't ever preface that with the words "it's funny."
Kill me. Kill me. Is this the X-rated version of
This
Joe and Joe?
apparently. So if, for those of you, I'm sure those of you listening know this, but we'll give you a brief little recap. In the 80s, in order to kind of make it okay for these toy companies to show basically 30-minute commercials for their toys, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask did a bunch of PSAs.
Mask?
Yeah, it's a show. It's an old show about like Transformers cars. It's kind of a meld of G.I. Joe and Transformers.
I thought it was the one with Cher.
No, Cher.
And Eric, what's his name?
Yeah, Eric.
Stoltz.
Yes, yeah. My son was born with
Sam
a deformity. No. Mobile Armored Strike Command. Although Cher, I could see Cher being a part of that.
Woo!
So in order to kind of it wasn't like to skirt the censors, but to appease more the government and regulatory committees, they tacked on these 30-second public service announcements at the end of the episodes.
Can I question that really quickly for you? I mean, just for me, isn't TV about selling? I mean, selling stuff.
I mean,
so why?
It is. It's funny. It is. But if you look back.
Or does it have to do because it's with children?
Well, because it's with children. And if you look back at like the history and frankly hypocrisy of everything is you would always be able to delineate the difference between here's the entertainment chunk, then here's a commercial chunk. Here's the entertainment chunk, then here's a 3-minute commercial break. When you get to the He-Man cartoons and the G.I. Joe cartoons, the figures and the characters that you're watching, the entire 30 minutes are all available for purchase on the store shelf. And you couldn't, while you could walk in and let's say buy a Flintstone action figure, that action figure wasn't the dog that was wagging the tail. That was the tail. This was the dog were the toys. Same thing with He-Man. The dog was the toy on the shelf. That was the primary money driver. And then you got 30 minutes of
a commercial.
A commercial of showing, hey kids, this is how you play with it. I loved it. Even as a kid, I knew that was going on, and I enjoyed it.
I didn't know that at all.
I took it as like new ideas to play and have your adventure with.
Yeah.
Another way that Marvel and Sunbow and Hasbro skirted the whole rule of it was they would air commercials for the G.I. Joe comic book, but they were 100% animated the exact same style and fashion and by Sunbow in the style of the cartoon. So you'd watch the cartoon, get that kind of advertisement, and then you'd go to an advertisement for the G.I. in the commercial break for the G.I. Joe comic book in the same style as the cartoon. But they were like, oh, but it's for the comic book. So they weren't missing a minute of really hitting the kids with.
They were implanting it in their brain.
Yeah.
They also add advertisements for cigarettes too, right? Is
that
what they did as well?
Well, that goes back to the Flintstones. Fred and Barney used to advertise for cigarettes. You know that, right?
Shut your mouth! I didn't know that.
Absolutely true. You can look this up.
I need to take a history class.
Yeah, this is
they did for cigarettes.
Yes, you can find it on YouTube. There is a 30 or minute commercial of Fred and Barney going, "Boy, Barney, these these menthols are deliciously smooth," and wow. Hey, what do you say, Fred? Give me a packet of cancer sticks.
I love their accents there.
Thank you.
You did really well, baby.
Yeah.
We've got Cher and the Flintstones.
Whoa.
Boom, let's do this.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't.
It's crazy. The I forget what brand. It was probably like Marlboro or something.
Pall Mall.
Pall Mall, maybe. Yeah, it was obviously old school.
That's what my dad smoked. And that's why Fred and Barney are dead.
Yeah,
Not because they're cavemen, because they smoke.
That's what extinguished the dinosaurs. Secondhand smoke.
Right.
Killed all the dinosaurs. That's why I don't have a living dinosaur vacuum cleaner right now.
Oh, I would
Secondhand
love one.
Hey, wouldn't it? No, actually, you wouldn't.
Why not?
The latest DC recently did a Flintstones. It turned out to be, I think it was supposed to be ongoing, but some of you fools out there weren't reading it. So
What?
they turned it into like a 12-issue thing, the Flintstones, and it was with a modern take on it. It was meant for adults.
Okay.
So they had, like a mop-haired moron run for office, but it wasn't just about that. They tackled environmental issues and all this stuff, but through the lens of the Flintstones.
Okay.
And it was a brilliant, and I'm blanking on the creators' names out there, but if you can get your hands on the Flintstone trade paperback, pick it up. It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
It's really great. And one of the subplots they had going throughout it were dealing with the fact that these creatures were living things. So, like, what do you do when a vacuum cleaner breaks? You throw it away. But that vacuum cleaner was a baby elephant.
Oh.
So, like, the Flintstones would, like, take it to the dump, and then the bowling ball, which was a living armadillo, was like, hey, where's my buddy the elephant?
Oh.
Or vice versa.
They needed a PETA PSA.
Yeah, well, it was really sad because one of them did get one of them broke down, and they got rid of him, and they had to stage a rescue to go to the dump to get him out.
That's awesome.
But then he died. He legitimately died.
Those Flintstones are a-holes.
It was really cool. It was really touching subplot, and they would hit on them like for a couple pages each episode or each issue.
And what do you do though if you have an animal that's the vacuum cleaner, but then it poops? Does it poop out? Like, does it clean up its own poop?
That's what they deal with. Like they deal with all that. Like, what are the
smart. I love that.
what are the ramifications of actual living creatures? Because we know, like our two dogs are sitting
Ours are
here.
perfect.
They're perfect.
They're perfect.
They talk to each other.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're saying, but they communicate in some form.
Usually
nonverbal.
Nose to butt.
Nose to butt. Yeah. Sometimes in Esperanto, but we don't know what they're saying, and that's how they played it in the comic book. That these creatures communicate. They used word balloons so we can understand what they're saying, but the Flintstones couldn't hear them. They would communicate. It's really, really smart. So back to the PSAs. My understanding is Lou Scheimer from Filmation, who did He-Man, he was the one that come up with the idea to assuage the powers that be about this stuff with the He-Man stuff, because He-Man was the first cartoon to really be about go buy these toys. And he said, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll tack on these 30-second spots at the end of the show, and it'll be He-Man and telling the kids how to be a good person, and it'll be the moral of the story, and those were great. These I think they're all great, and they're fun, and they're well-meaning and all that stuff. But as you're going to see as we get into these, they're also a little crazy because what we're dealing with the G.I. Joe ones is an elite group
Killers
of soldiers who apparently are known by first names to all the children in town.
I'm sorry.
And that is, that's an important thing distinction.
Hi, Mr. Snake Eyes.
Right, exactly. Actually, I don't know that Snake Eyes is on any of these.
Sure, I'll take some of the candy in the back of your van.
Yeah. There's that. And for the listeners out there, we are watching. We're watching the original PSAs, because if you do here's another interesting tidbit about the PSAs. If you do a Google search for G.I. Joe PSAs, the top searches for every of them, all of them, is going to come up with the Fensler G.I. Joe parodies.
Okay.
And Fensler is a Chicago-based writer, comedian, editor, filmmaker, who took all the PSAs and did all of them, and they're all very funny. And he put new sound over all of them. And there are things like,
Can we hear one, or is it too bad?
Well, no, we
don't have the rights.
We might do that in another show.
Got it.
Yeah, we might do that in another show. Just so letting everyone know, I'm watching a compilation from YouTube that is put on by who is it? Phantom Beast General is the guy that hosted it. And it is called the G.I. Joe PSA compilation, and it is 100% all the original ones. We're not doing the Fensler ones. Fensler ones are very funny, and I may visit them at some point.
Is that like
on
will
another
it be like
episode.
one of your blue episodes?
Yeah, because there's blue. They're pretty blue, but they're also very funny and they're very odd and quirky and so it is actually difficult to find the originals online because all you find are the Fensler. That's how popular they are. They're very popular. Is all you find are these Fensler ones, and all the DVD compilations that I have. They never collected like all of them in one place either. So like you'd buy like season 1 would have 4 of them on there, and then this box set would have 6 of them on there, at least that I could find. I couldn't find them on any of the DVDs. So we're watching the originals off this YouTube video, and we're gonna go one at a time.
Okay.
And here's what we're gonna do, Rebecca. We're gonna play a game.
Okay.
Called, in honor of it being a PSA.
Okay.
The game is gonna be called Plausible, Stupid, or Awesome.
PSA.
Da-na-na.
I get it. Yeah.
Now
Okay.
you get
Plausible,
Stupid.
stupid, or awesome. Got it. Okay.
So we're gonna dissect each PSA. We're gonna watch one, break it down, watch one, break it down, and we'll see how far we get for this episode.
And is there a correct answer, or it's just
no, it's
we
just
just
our
get
opinion.
to, okay?
Yeah, it's just our opinion.
I don't
'Cause
have to get it right.
There are some of these that are legit, like, oh yeah, that's good for a kid to know.
Oh, yeah.
And then there are some of these that are like, oh wow, that's just stupid. And then there are some of these that are like, the whole premise they set up is just awesome, and I'm glad they did it, and it's awesome.
Good.
So that's the game we're going to play here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And why don't you follow me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook at JoeOnJoePod. Send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. And especially this week and for the next couple weeks as we go through these PSAs, let me know what you think of not only my show, but like of the PSAs. Like, do we nail it? Do we think something's plausible? Do we think something's awesome? Do we think something's stupid that you disagree with?
Yeah.
So
I think you should totally follow him. Please follow my husband because he's real cute.
in the streets, follow him around.
Yeah, seriously, he needs
Like
to
Rocky
keep
when
an
he was
eye
training,
on him.
just a
Keep
bunch
an eye
of
on
kids
him.
just running behind him.
Or the new Rocky where they're
on scooters, yeah.
motorcycles and such.
Totally. So thank you for listening. And
Creed. I should have said
Creed,
Creed.
yeah, the new Creed. Yeah, you're not giving him his proper due.
Right, because he's Apollo's son. He's
Right?
not. Right.
So here we go. We're gonna hit play, and normally on our show we don't play the whole audio of the show because I primarily, I can be honest with you, copyright stuff. But there's like fair use rules for a certain amount of limited time. So I'm gonna skirt that this week. We're gonna have the full audio of the show, but it's only 30-second clips at a time, and we're gonna discuss it. So I think we're in the clear, and and if we're not, send your lawyers my way. Anyway.
Or don't.
Care of Rebekah Wallensack. So, are you ready? Are you?
It took me a second. That was me.
I
am
ready.
Ready. I'm
Awesome.
champing at the bit.
Oh my God, it's gonna be so great. So here we go. The first PSA deals with lying.
Oh.
And children.
Okay.
And a strange man driving a Jeep up on their front
You're giving
lawn.
the whole thing away.
Just we're gonna get there. I just want to prep people in case this is the one they
I'm
want to
so
watch.
nervous for the kids.
I know. Well, so we're gonna see what happens, and here we go.
Johnny, catch! Oh no! Let's tell Mom it was Billy's mistake.
You're making the mistake.
Flint!
Anyone can have an accident, but lying makes it worse.
But Mom will be upset.
She'll be even more upset if you lie. And how would you feel if Billy got punished? Face up to what you've done. Don't take the easy way out.
We'll tell her we did it.
Remember, it's better to tell the truth.
And that's no lie. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, President Trump. I mean, what? I'm sorry. Is that not? That wasn't foreshadowing anything.
Well, okay. Let's
That
just,
kid's got Trump hair.
Listen. Let's hope this goes back to the highest of echelons, and maybe teaches a lesson. Maybe perhaps someone could have learned something
I
from
know.
these PSAs.
Well, he does like his generals.
So he knows more than them though. He knows more than them. So let's
right.
unpack what we just saw. We just saw a strange man drive a Jeep across someone's lawn.
Yeah, he's in a military Jeep.
In a military Jeep. They knew him.
Yeah.
They knew him, so he's local. They're townies.
Yeah, he's the local military officer.
Yeah. And he overheard that they were lying about it. And it was it the girl's idea to lie or was it the boy's idea?
It's always
to
the
lie?
girls. She
It was
handed the
girls.
apple.
Yeah,
She handed the apple. That's what-
basically that ball is the apple.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And
Did you see the animation on it? Doesn't the boy kind of look like a grown man, but just with shorts? Let's
very
just be
much
fair.
so. Oh, very much.
What
so.
is she doing playing with a grown man boy?
Well,
also?
I hope it's her brother.
No, I know, but like, Why are they dressing their adult son like a child? Is what I'm asking.
It's like the movie
Baby.
Baby.
Yeah,
The Baby. Which, if you haven't seen the movie, is it The Baby or Baby from the mid-70s?
I just thought it was Baby.
Yeah, mid-70s about
boy.
A family who raises a child into manhood, but treats him as if he were still about a year old, and it's delightful.
And by that, it's sick.
It's sick and delightful. So
I'm not going to say the PSA goes to that
no,
level.
the PSA certainly doesn't go to that level. So the kids are lying. First question I've got is not the first question, but one of the questions is where are the parents in all this? Like, are they inside? Don't they hear a window break? Don't they hear a Jeep pull up on their front lawn?
Who's to say that they are hearing able? Who's to say they don't have mobility problems,
You're right.
Joe?
Why are you? I'm making a lot of assumptions here. You are correct.
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I am making a lot of assumptions.
What if the dad has PTSD from his military time?
It's funny.
And he's
funny you mentioned that.
Triggered.
It just dawned on me that maybe the reason these kids know Flint, and maybe the reason all these kids and all these PSAs know these Joes, is they're the children of not necessarily the Joes, but of all the green shirts that support the Joes. Because
what's a green shirt?
They're like the troops in the background. So when they draw a big crowd scene, you'll see the main characters, and then there'll be a bunch of dudes in the regular green shirts.
Faceless army folk.
Yeah, so they're like regular army people. But even not even green shirts. An operation like G.I. Joe, you need a lot of bureaucrats. You need a lot of office people to make sure everything goes.
Let's assume the bureaucrats, high echelon bureaucrats, are raising the liars. Let's assume that the lying children are as a result of big government lying.
Right. So maybe as a blanket for all these PSAs, maybe the reason all these kids know who the Joes are is because they're the children of the people that the support staff for G.I. Joe. I'm pretty sure none of the Joes have any. Well, that's not true. Stalker had kids, but like they lived off base.
There is a man named Stalker who had children,
but it was because he was a ranger. Like he was like that was his job, was like to find you in the jungle. And,
but the guy named Stalker has children.
He does, yes, but not in the cartoon, but in the comic book they gave him. Yeah.
And does he also stalk women?
No,
until they die.
It wasn't. He's a stalker of the enemy. Let's not turn this on Stalker. Let's not make this a referendum on Stalker's poor choice of code names.
All I'm saying is,
he does have a family, and we've seen the Joes' extended families on a lot of these episodes. But
what if all the kids
direct children? They don't they're not raising them on base. So I'm thinking if these are related to the military at all, they're support staff.
Well, I mean that could be they could be on base, though. I mean,
they could, but I'm pretty sure they're not. Like just because the Joes are so special and targeted, like they lead a solitary life. Like in some iterations of the comic book, they actually.
So this is assumed that they're on like Antarctica or something, a solitary life in a cave. Just it's south. So
in some iterations of the comic book, they actually, in order to join the Joe team, you basically your death is faked. Like that's how elite they are. Like if you're going to join us, they fake your death, and then that's why you go undercover the code name.
It's
hard.
Horrific.
That's hardcore. Yeah, it's hardcore. It's not commonly accepted. Like, but they did it. I forget what iteration of it. Might have been the early IDW stuff. But yeah, they showed where a guy joined the team, and it was like, all right, if you're going to join us, you have to. All right,
let's ruin your mother's life, your sister's life,
everything, and yeah.
I had a thought on how the kids maybe know him. What if it's because they're used to, in the middle of the night, mom waking them up, throwing him in the car because I got to pick up dad drunk from the VFW again?
Okay. Sure.
Do you think that might be a thing?
That might be a thing. That might totally be a thing. Absolutely. And there's Flint hanging out. And,
all right, kids, come on.
Oh, your dad's drinking, buddy. So let's circle back and let's look at the message. So we've covered the trappings of it. So let's look at the message. And I think it's a strong message, though. And it's one that a lot of people, and not just, to poke fun at, the obvious, the biggest liar we've got in American politics today, but just in general in life, there's no need to lie about most things.
Yeah.
Like, there really isn't. I say most things because you never know. But there really isn't.
Life is easier if you just tell the truth. You don't have to remember all the other BS.
So much easier, because as soon as you tell one lie, you now have to follow that lie up with a series of other things, assuming it's of any relative import.
My mom used to always say, I know you're going to lie to me first, So get that one out of your system. Now tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Because you just know that you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
right?
it's great. It's great news. And once you start down that path, you start doing it for little things that matter of no consequence. Those, for me, those are the lies. Those little ones are the ones that bother me the most. Because when you find out the truth about whatever it is, it's always like, that's it. That's all there is. Like, why would you even bother telling that lie?
Well, but
what they call little white lies, whatever. And it's like, because when you lie, here's our PSA. When you lie, you're essentially trying to micromanage other people's reaction to life. Often it's to your choices in life, but it's to life.
You're controlling the narrative.
You're controlling the narrative, right? And there's one thing that I've learned: you can't control the narrative on things.
Yeah.
If you did something or something happens and you don't want someone to know about whatever, it's not your responsibility to control their reaction. If they have a poor reaction, if they have a great reaction, you do not know what their reaction is going to be.
However, I would say this is us as adults. I don't know in your family, but if I broke the window with my family in Dayton, Ohio, who was barely scraping by, my parents wouldn't come out and be like, oh, come on, guys, tell me the truth. It's who broke this window? You're getting your ass beat.
Well, of course.
And so who wants to tell the truth when you're going to get a spanking?
Right. Well, of course, but that's why this PSA is important, because you should get the spanking. Your kid should, or your little dopey baby brother, Billy, who's playing with the car.
Yeah, you shouldn't get the toddler beat.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean that's what they're saying here you're shifting responsibility.
In theory, practicality, all of that, yes, I agree 100%. 1,000,000%. It's the thing of real life, or a parent who doesn't want to hear the truth, or doesn't say, well, I'm happy that you told me the truth, and you still get punished severely. When it's maybe when someone tells the truth, you kind of back off lightly. You're still going to get your spanking, or you're still going to get grounded, but we appreciate, you know what I mean? But there's what incentive does a parent give you when you tell the truth outside of your own personal growth? When you're 7, you're not thinking about your own personal growth.
Well, that's funny. That's what you need. That's why we maybe need a PSA for the parent of like, you know what?
Be happy your kid's telling the truth.
Be happy your kid told the truth, and one, let's stop beating your kids. 2,
right.
2,
it's not the 80s anymore.
Yeah. 2, be happy your kid told the truth.
Yeah.
So like, let's say this happened, and in all full disclosure, Rebecca and I, we're not parents, so we don't exactly know the day to day.
But I break stuff all the time in this house.
You do.
I don't mean to. I told you when we started dating.
Oh,
I break shit.
Of course. And there's an element of, oh boy, am I upset that happened? But on the other hand, the kid's not lying to me about it, and I'm assuming they didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
Now, if
you don't have like a little Damien.
Now, if I see the kid pick up a rock, walk to the window, and smash it through,
which happens.
Yeah, which happens.
There's kids going, I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah.
That's a different story, and we're not even going to deal with that kind of scenario. Yeah. So I'm actually voting for this PSA. I'm voting awesome, because I think this PSA is on point with its message for me.
I think the message is, I was just going around like the other side. It's, what is it, plausible,
stupid, or awesome? What would you vote?
I mean, it's not plausible to have a military guy driving up onto your lawn, and it's like, this isn't the police state. Like, we're not run by the military. So, but I would say awesome, because it is a good message.
Yeah. So this PSA gets it awesome. So now we're on to the next one.
Your mom had an accident. I'll take you to her. Uh-oh.
Look, Wild Bill.
Who was that?
Some stranger. He said Donnie's mom was hurt. I didn't know if I should go with him.
Well, just don't do what a stranger says. Check it out with an adult you know. Remember, a stranger
can mean danger. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
You're going to listen to a guy with a huge bushy mustache and glasses who comes out and says, "Don't go in that stranger's car. Come into mine."
Well, true, but he wasn't inviting them in his car. He was just pulling up to scare off the super creeper.
True, super. Your mom is in the hospital.
Hey, kids, but okay. So this one's
a great.
This one's
message.
For real.
This is a great message. This is awesome.
This one is
and they made him creepy, and it's.
Yeah, he actually looked like a character model that they use for a Cobra Sergeant.
Oh, really?
Like Scar or something like that.
However, I wonder if it actually would have been better if it wasn't somebody who looked creepy.
It's a good
you know,
point.
I mean, because
Yeah.
it's you're waiting to look for some creepy guy when really it's a regular looking guy who says, I'm a friend of your mom and dad.
That's a really good point. It's a
Oh my
really
God,
good point.
why wouldn't they ask me that when I was 7 years old?
Listen.
8? What year was this?
This would have been, well, I'm not sure exactly when this one aired, but 85, 86, 87.
Oh, I was older than that. I'm old.
Yeah, this is, obvious. This is legit good.
Yeah, it's good.
This
It's
is
really
legit a really good message, and I think, one that, that everyone needs to know.
Isn't that
needs
around
to
the
hear.
same time also when John Walsh,
Yes,
right?
yes. This was all that era. This was
Yeah.
when he was making a big push for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Well, couple things. One, you've got the interracial friendship.
That's great.
That's awesome.
I don't think that was the focus, but I
No,
love it.
no. But that's even
That's
better
great.
though. That it's
Yeah.
not the focus. It's
Sure.
just a couple kids hanging out.
Why didn't you want to pick up the black kid, though? Screw that guy. Black kid's not worth stealing?
Well, because maybe he couldn't pass the black kid off as his own child if he were
Oh.
like.
I'm
cruising
sorry.
down
I
the
was
street.
thinking of now.
Oh yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Now
Now
they'd
it's
be like,
not-
oh
yeah.
look, he adopted that.
That's terrible that I'm
It's
like parsing over
creepers,
which
yeah.
kid that he was going to steal.
Yeah, maybe you hurt the black kid's feelings. Like, what about me?
Probably.
I'm not good enough. The guy's super creepy. This actually happened to me when we were playing G.I. Joe toys.
What?
Yeah, this.
It caused you to almost be abducted?
No. This actually happened to us when we were playing G.I. Joe toys. I was on the corner with Bobby and Brian, and I think my friend Tony might have been there. Tony, if you're listening, I think you might have been involved in this too.
He was the abductor?
Well, there were 4 of us. No. There were 4 of us, and
I
two
get
of us were in the backyard. And we had our one base was in the backyard, and the Powells lived in the corner house. One base lived in the backyard, and the other base was in the front yard. So we were at the other. 2 of us were playing at the one Cobra base, and the Joe base was on the other side. And when we made our attack, like we came around the corner to engage the enemy, I want to say it was Tony and the older Brian, the older friend, but they were just standing there. And they were just like, they weren't playing. And me and Bobby were like, the younger brother, were like, what's up? Why aren't we playing? And they were like, some dude just pulled up and was trying to get us in his. This is on my street.
How old were you guys?
Well, it would have been this era, so about 10 years old, 11 years old,
Wow.
something like that. They're like, some dude just pulled up and like asked us to get in the car with him, and like literally the old here's some candy.
And it was right outside of their house.
It's right outside.
Wow.
It's 2 doors from my house. I
Wow.
mean, it was you've been to my childhood home. Like, it was right in that corner there, and we were like, he did, and they pointed at him because the car was still driving down the street, and they're like, yeah, and we're like, did you get license plate? 'Cause it's
Oh,
all,
smart.
Well,
Good.
it was like TV. That's what you see on TV. It's
great.
And they were like, no, we didn't. But like, what the what? Like, yeah. So this PSA happened to us, and I don't know if we had seen it already.
The era.
Doesn't matter the era. Doesn't matter the era. So, I mean, this again falls into the awesome. Totally awesome.
Yes.
Totally awesome.
I mean, and it's the thing of like, oh my God, that's such a creepy, but yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you did make it where it looks like a regular person, the kids aren't going to be as scared of it.
Right.
And you're showing this to speak to the children.
Very
so
true.
I get that.
Very true.
So 2 awesomes.
I got nothing else to say about that one. That one's for real. This next one.
As an adult, my heart actually really talking about it and you talking about your youth, that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It's like literally like we know the stories. We know when there weren't Amber Alerts.
No. Yeah.
And thinking of we're going to make a joke because there's the mustache blah blah blah, but that there's people who
listeners, you wouldn't know this. But, Chicago Ridge is where I grew up. It's a small suburb, right? That guy might have lived in the Ridge. Like, I don't know who that. We don't know who that was. Like, it was a smallish suburb surrounded by big suburbs, but our street literally was a dead end. A block away, so it's not, our street wasn't a through street. So whatever. There was a lot going on there.
You say that we used to be able to run around and play and have fun, and you can't do that now. Even then, even in the 80s,
there was anyway. So
Stranger
we're gonna move
danger.
on to the next one, which is the next one's pretty great. And remember, as we watch this next one, kids, listeners at home, remember in the first one we watched, the little kid's name was Billy. I'd like to think this is Further Adventures of Billy.
Billy just gets in trouble.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
So let's watch it.
Turkey, now we might lose.
Hold on there.
Flint!
Will yelling at Billy help?
Not really.
Look, if you want to play your best, you got to play like a team.
Yeah, right. It's tied up.
The next time you get angry over a bad play, remember you need teamwork to win, not arguments.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Say this. Don't call. First off, we need to bring back turkey. When somebody does something, we need to start calling people turkey. But the end part is you'll play like a better team as long as you don't involve the goalie.
Yeah.
Billy, who you just berated.
So Billy grew up. So first Billy got the blame for breaking a window.
Right.
And then Flint saw Billy on the front lawn and was like, I'm going to keep an eye on this kid. I'm going to make sure this kid's life is not filled with bullies. So a few years later, young Billy's playing goalie, and he's a terrible goalie. And
So he was a terrible catcher twice, actually.
Yes,
Let's be fair.
yeah.
He didn't catch the ball.
Yeah, well,
going through the
Billy
window.
was the kid with the little car. Billy was the
Billy
brother they
was
were going to
the
blame.
kid.
Billy was the brother they were going to
Oh.
blame. So Billy goes from being the
Not
little
being able to catch then runs in the family.
Yeah, runs in the family. Yeah. So Flint stalks Billy and tracks him down and watches him. I'm going to make sure he matures into a young, fine soccer goalie. And
Does he stalk him with Stalker? Is it like
maybe.
a
Well,
duo thing?
that's the thing. Stalker wears camouflage. He might have been in the background. We wouldn't even know it. And so you've got now Billy, who's a terrible soccer goalie. And that is what they thought would make a
Maybe
good
it just
PSA.
in that neighborhood, there were a lot of fans of Billie Jean King. And there's a lot of,
sure.
Billy, don't you lose
So-
my number. Like all of that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody just named their kid Billy.
Okay, but in my head canon, it's
I
the
think
same
it's
Billy.
the same.
So,
Did you say my head cannon?
head canon, yeah. It's what the phrase for like when you piece those things together that aren't related.
head canon?
Yeah, it's what they
Heard
call
of
it.
head
like,
cheese,
Yeah,
my
it's
head
like in
canon.
my head, in my brain. It's all Billy. It's all
love
about
that.
Billy.
It's all Billy.
And actually, let's go.
What if that's a young Bill Clinton?
Well, wait a minute. No, let's go further into it. Cobra Commander's son in the comic books. Guess what his name was?
Billy.
Billy. What if that's Cobra? Holy cow! I just busted this wide open. The reason Flint is all over Billy is Billy was adopted to that family because he was really Cobra Commander's son, and they're raising him. They want to make sure that's, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
So is it that
on the
he know
Joe
that
on
happens,
Joe
or
podcast.
or was there some sort of going back in time? Like, is
no,
he a time traveler?
No time travel at all.
He just knows that the
He knew-
adoption has gone
so
through.
they knew who. Okay, here you go. This is the scenario I'm putting out there. G.I. Joe, at some point in the past, in real no time travel, but at some point they knew that Cobra Commander fathered a kid, and they secreted the kid away, or maybe the mom stole the kid and ran to G.I. Joe for help, something like that. And they put Billy, Cobra Commander's son, in foster care in this
Billy
neighborhood.
Cobra.
Billy Cobra, sure. Well, technically Billy Commander.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. And they put Billy in foster care with that family, and that's why Flint was watching him when they broke the window.
Foster care with Cobra's family?
No,
or
no, with the G.I. Joe family, like, with a nice family. But that's the reason why Flint is hanging out watching them play.
It could be nature over nurture, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So he's trying to add
Right.
nurture
So
to it.
They keep an eye on him so that if Cobra shows up to try to kidnap him back, because right now Cobra.
What if that was Cobra in the car in
He
a
looked- well, that kid-
person mask?
Maybe. He didn't look. I mean, that kid wasn't Billy.
But he didn't know.
In the-
He doesn't
right.
know. He was just looking
He's
for a
scouting
blonde
the
kid.
neighborhood. He's looking for Billy. Right.
Right.
So now Billy's a little older and he's playing goalie, and Flint's still watching him because maybe Flint was like part of the rescue mission, kind of like when Odin defeated Laufey, and he took Laufey's son Loki and raised him as his own.
I just killed myself
Yeah.
over that. I'm
so
dead.
here you go, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys got a double
This
comic
is
book.
the secret origin of Billy,
Yeah.
Cobra's son.
Billy Commander.
Yeah, Billy Commander. He's Cobra Commander's son. He is being raised by the Joes, and that's why the Joes are hanging out this neighborhood.
I wonder what
because
his given
he's
first
the
name
most
is. Billy is what the foster people probably call
Well,
him.
in the books, Billy was his name. Like his
okay.
name was William. Like so,
Got
so his name was definitely Billy. They never gave his last name because they never wanted to do like identify Cobra Commander by his real name. They never
Jones.
did that. Yeah,
Cobra
yeah,
Commander
yeah,
Jones.
Yeah, that's really Jones. That's
I
nothing
thought it would be
more
something
exotic
like,
or spectacular
That's,
or no.
nope. Clooney.
Yeah. So
Cobra Commander Clooney.
So as much as I love the Billy theory, and I'm going to go with it, I'm going to say this one's stupid. I'm giving this my first stupid.
I can't even remember what it's. Oh, don't
It was
call somebody a turkey.
But don't call people turkeys. And
Don't name call.
Because, listen, I've been on enough sporting teams. I've been on enough whatever. Sometimes your goalie sucks. Sometimes there's a certain... I say this on a week where my football coach just passed. Rip Gary Cohornan. He was the winningest coach in Illinois football history, Richards Bulldogs. And listen, there were a lot of stories about Gary and a lot of stories about him being crazy and getting riled up.
So there were no stories about him being kind to the person who effed up on the field?
He won football games,
Yeah,
and he was kind. He was kind in his way. You know, he was.
I wasn't bashing him, but just like you get yelled at when you
That's
do
the
something.
thing,
Like,
right.
use your head.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's, like I said, I played baseball, I played hockey, I played football, and it's definitely a different temperament for each. I never played soccer, but there's definitely a different temperament.
Cannot imagine you playing soccer. You're a beast of a man.
I never enjoyed soccer. Anything about it. Don't like watching it. Don't like playing it. But there's a different temperament to each sport. Definitely the attitude you take when you're coaching football is different from a baseball coach. You have to be a little more long. You have to keep your eye on the long game when you're doing baseball. It's a little slower, and a little more methodical. But there comes a time when you got to kick, you got to.
Yeah, but it wasn't the coach. It's another player who's being a jerkbag.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
Here's
it's not
the
coach.
deal.
It's not
You're
the coach.
being
You're right.
a jerk.
Very good point.
You're being a jerk. Don't call him a turkey.
It's true.
First off, I want to bring back turkey and fox. Man, that's a fox. Or if somebody's unattractive, you're such a dog. Because I'm not looking into like dog, D-O-W-G, D-A-W-G. I don't know how to spell. But like, man, what a dog. It's plausible, I would say.
So you say plausible. Okay. I say stupid, but you say plausible. It's fair enough.
Just don't be a jerk. Especially with bullying now, though.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Good point. Good point.
Now, if he was tweeting it,
if
he took a picture and Instagrammed it.
My thing is heat of the moment, and I have been in these situations. I've seen parents, especially actually in our hockey league, growing up, where parents, because they would be right next to the action because they'd be right on the boards, and I've absolutely I'm sure I got yelled at where we'd say we'd scream at a guy or something, and our parents would be like, "Hey, shut up!" Like that's not like they would correct.
When I was
in
in high school playing basketball, my stepfather used to scream at the other players, be like, "Get her off the court! get number so and so off the court!
Get out of my stepdaughter's way!"
He would lose it. I would have said my wife's or my girlfriend's daughter's way. I was a very troubled teen in those days. He wasn't my dad then.
All right,
but as a grown-up, I say, no, don't be mean to somebody just because they messed up. Because at some point, you're going to mess up. And if you don't, then I dislike you anyways if you're perfect.
Fair enough. So
I actually would say, I would want Flint to go to the turkey and say, stand up for yourself and punch that a-hole in the face. That's what I would say. Why don't you watch your mouth, you little rich son of a bitch.
And now you know.
Keep talking to my kid like that. I'm gonna teach your mother a lesson.
Oh my god!
Tonight.
Oh my
Is that
god.
not appropriate?
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so plausible. I'm gonna stick with stupid. Plausible. And here we go into the next one.
We shouldn't be in here. Let's go.
Okay, follow me. What's the matter, you chicken?
I can't jump that far.
Okay, chicken, I'm leaving you here. Use your head, Sally.
Lady J.
There's nothing chicken about being smart. If you stop and think, there's almost always a better way.
I use this plank
That's using your head.
instead of losing it. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Which one is this one? Lady J?
Yeah, that was Lady J.
My God, I
Flint's
want to make
girlfriend.
out with her.
I know, right?
Flint's got great taste.
Oh,
She's
the
a
best.
good
She's
looking.
the best.
She
And
is
the
a
voice,
handsome woman.
The voice makes it all,
Fetching.
brings it all
Doesn't
together.
she usually have redder hair though? She seemed like she has brown.
That's Scarlett you're thinking of. Scarlett, she's always has brown
It's
hair.
because she's got short hair. That's my type.
I like that. I like that PSA.
Very good. Peer pressure.
A lot.
It's peer pressure to protect yourself.
It's peer pressure. It's also the girl using her brain while the guy just trying to muscle his way through it.
Idiots. Boys are dumb, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Like I
was that girl though that I would try to keep up with the boys and get hurt all the time.
I was the girl too in the sense of I would think
You were
of
the girl?
Yeah. Well, in the sense that I wouldn't jump it. I would go, is there an easier way to do it?
You guys idiots.
Primarily because I was lazy, but like.
But also we were bigger kids. Like physically we're bigger, and so you got those little ones jumping and crawling around and whatever. And we're like.
No,
we're
dude,
lumbering through because we're Frankenstein Jr.
Plus, I was always enamored with adventure movies like Indiana Jones and all that stuff. When inevitably at some point in those movies they would like knock a tree down and climb across things. Like for real, I was enamored with the concept of that, of using found objects to traverse.
So you were
ravine.
MacGyver.
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah, I
wanna
loved all
MacGyver
that
it, too.
stuff. So I totally would have done what she did.
Yeah.
You know?
And
I'm assuming that that ravine ditch was more date because in the animation when you look
It
at
looks
it,
like
and
it's not
it's
that
like
big, but-
really you're afraid to fall in that. But yeah, just assuming
She
that
could
was more
twist an
dangerous.
ankle.
Hey, there could have been rebar down there. Like yeah, for real.
But I love also that Lady J. Hey, not a good idea. Like she's not
Hey,
being too mothering.
Hey, dope.
But she's not being too mothering. But she's like, look out for yourself, girl. Like I like that a lot. It's like empowering, and also that the boy didn't go, it's none of your business. You know what I mean? That it was like, yes, ma'am. Like it's also teaching manners.
Yeah. It's
Which manners goes back to the last one.
It does.
Don't
And
be a jerk and call somebody a turkey.
Lady J shows up like a straight ninja.
Yeah,
Like all of a sudden she is just standing
She
there.
may have been there the whole time and just looked like a tree.
Okay, so let's go headcanon on this. Maybe that's actually Lady J's house under construction, and she was there to check out. Like, let's see how progress is on my new house that we're building, and what are these kids doing?
I'm gonna bring it back to them being black children. Every time I'm pointing out people who are black, I'm progressive. I hope it's because of that, not something else nefarious.
Okay.
But there's 2 new black kids who moved in the neighborhood, and she just wants to make sure that they're okay. Right?
Yeah,
because
sure.
she just wants to make sure that the suburban neighborhood is open-minded and is cool and isn't like some of the stuff that you see on the news and movies. You know what I mean?
Okay.
She's all about it because we're all Americans.
I got
Donald Trump.
I like it.
He was going to leave her. That also, like, I'm just going to leave you there.
Yeah, that's
You're
terrible.
a terrible person.
But also, like open construction sites. Like there weren't
Terrible,
any. There
yeah.
weren't, and it was
That's
middle
a
of the
big one.
day, so there weren't anyone.
Kids
There wasn't anyone
play
there working
on
it.
And it's kids
Right.
playing in dangerous situations.
Where's the other Where's the construction crew?
Yeah.
Like, is
And you shouldn't be hanging out at a house that's being built. How did you get on the property?
right,
kids.
right. So would you give this one a plausible, a stupid, or an awesome? I go plausible.
Plausible,
I go
I think.
plausible.
I mean, it's
not too crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've played on construction sites. Like you can
terrible.
find your
We
way.
shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you can find your way into those.
I mean, and then there should be an advertisement for, another PSA for go getting your tetanus shot.
Tetanus shot for all the rusty nails that I'm sure they stepped on. 'Cause
One of my
construction
siblings-
sites are. If you've never been like around construction and like trade work like that, literally cleanup is someone's job. Like it is messy there because you're doing. It's like I used to do. When my dad did sprinkler fitting forever. So it's around that a little bit. I used to do pipe insulation for years in high school and college. And
I got that big old brawny body.
wow,
Those muscles.
Yeah, it's how I hurt my
Meow,
back.
meow.
So that you do so you do something and you just like if you
toss it 'cause
you
you're
just toss it. You just throw it because you're working. You're crafting something. You drop it on the ground. Clean up at the end of the day is a massive part of the job. Like there's always someone sweeping up at the end of the day, and you have to do it every day.
It's like
because
with
if you don't-
hairdressers.
Yeah,
with
it's
the hair on the
totally like
ground.
that. Yeah. So cleanup's a big deal. So I'm assuming that this construction site, since it's still mid construction, it's got to be a nightmare fuel.
Right.
For
But right
tetanus.
now, it actually was super, super clean.
Well.
Anyways, one of my siblings would all the time have a rusty nail go through their shoes. All the time. It was like they were attracted to it. They made Magneto. Maybe they were baby Magnetos.
Oh my God.
So I would say plausible.
Yeah. Okay. You got it. You got one more in you for today for this episode.
Of course.
All right. So we're gonna do one more, and then we're gonna wrap it up. And so get ready for this one.
Oh, boy.
This one's exciting.
Okay.
This one is Murder on the Orient Express.
What?
With our friend General Hawk. So here we go.
Murder for children?
Not really.
Okay.
But here we go.
Murder.
The train! Let's beat it! Come on, hurry! We can make it! Hey, stop! It's too late to cross!
Hold up!
Huh?
That's a dangerous game you two were playing. Listen to your friend Chris. Those gates are provided as a warning to let you know that it's not safe to cross.
We could have been hurt. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Not hurt, you idiots. Smashed.
Straight killed.
Killed. Your friends watched you die, and then the driver
God.
of the train has your blood and guts in his brain for his entire
So much to
existence.
unpack on this one.
Whew, it's awesome. It's important.
I love this one.
It's important.
It is awesome. It is so awesome. Okay, first we'll start with this. Chris, the kid that warned him, looks like a 65-year-old man.
He's wise. He's an
They
old soul.
They drew him with like bags under his eyes.
He's an old soul.
He
He
is
worries.
an
He
old-
worries.
He is Benjamin Button
And
old.
nobody listens to him because he's always like, guys, use your head. Think first.
He's like, guys, I'm actually 106. I've been watching people die on train tracks since
It's
the
like, you
train
have
was
no
invented.
idea.
Yeah.
I used to actually throw the coal
Yeah,
into the fires before they had a steam engine. I don't even know how that
That
works. I
kid
don't
is
even know.
old as old. Did you have a lot of train tracks near you growing up?
No. I mean, I'm sure, but not anywhere that we would play around.
We did.
Didn't you have to pass it to go to school?
Train tracks, strangely, were the train was a big part of our life because we just where we were situated. 2 big rail lines cut through, so you were either always anywhere you went from where we lived, you were always getting stuck, caught by a train in one direction or the other direction. So whether we were going to church,
Another
we were
reason to live in the
always
city.
late. Yeah, we were always late going to church because we'd get caught by a train. Going to high school every day.
Do you think God accepts that?
No.
excuse?
There's no excuse.
Are you
and,
kidding
and neither
me?
did our principal at school. Every day going, there was always like this, because one of the trains would always go by at a certain time every day. And it was right before school was supposed to start. So you either caught it or you didn't. So racing trains were a big deal in our, and my friend Jeff, who, if you're listening, Jeff lived alongside the train too. So if we were going to play baseball, we had to cut the train tracks. Because on the other side of Jeff's house was
Dad,
the baseball
I'm going
track.
along the train tracks.
Honest to God, we didn't live near any kind of train yard, but we were always crossing train tracks.
We, when I was little, we lived near a creek.
Crick.
And so that would be the thing you get in trouble. Your feet would be wet, and like if one of the siblings left you there, or whatever, like that would be it. But
There were always stories about kids getting hit by trains.
oh god,
Because the train tracks cut through town, and that
so
was
you could know somebody whose kid was hit by a train.
Yeah, and that was the shortcut. That was the shortcut. I'm blanking on who it was, but there was someone, and like you would just hear these stories like, oh yeah, a kid got hit by the train, because you would play on it. We used to jump on them when they were slow moving. We would
Jump on the trains.
yeah to get to, because if a train was cruising through, and we were going from Jeff's backyard to go to the play baseball or whatever, go to cross the train, we weren't doing it from, we were doing it to get somewhere. We would jump up on the train as it was slowly moving, and then jump back down.
I
the
love
other
that
side.
you just rationalized. You just slowed down.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah.
You were idiots.
Yeah. Well,
you
definitely.
were dumb.
Totally.
Dumb idiots.
When they were not moving, we definitely always crawled over it. But there were definitely a few times when it was.
But if it wasn't
semi-moving.
moving, you don't know when it was going to start moving.
Oh, I know.
You don't know if there was like a hobo in there that
Totally.
was going to cut your head off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What was the name of the kid who was the
Billy.
No. Billy was the one who was telling everybody to stop, or we don't even know the name of the kids.
No, he said his name. General Hawk, Craig or something. I forget right now. Eric or maybe.
Let's just call him Eugene.
Eugene
was smart.
The 90-year-old bicycle rider.
That's idiots.
This is awesome.
Retroactively, you're an idiot.
I love Hawk's vehemence in this, where he's
Well,
like, "You got to stop."
Well, yeah, it's loud because the train's going by, and also you're gonna kill yourself, you dummy.
Yeah, 100% that.
I hate that you guys did that. I'm talking to the.
It was a way of life. Like, it was just you.
Colados.
No, it wasn't.
Talking to the parents.
No. Like it just. Oh, we also used to throw rocks at the train.
Because you're a-holes. Well, little boys are dumb. Little boys are just little
It was
monsters.
like, you had to see if you could hit it. Like, because it wasn't like right on their backyard. You had to jump the fence and then go about 15
I am
feet.
sure that there are
So it was
girls
good-
who behave that way
yeah.
too. You've got tomboys, blah, blah, blah. But innately, a train's going by and the girls are like, hey, let's throw shit at it. Like, it's not. Hey, what do you guys think? Do you think you want to jump on there and maybe lose a limb? Yeah, let's go. Like, girls don't tend to be that way.
It's true. It's a good
Parents dream for girls.
It's a good
Dream
point.
for girls.
It's a good point. So anyway, I'm going to rate this awesome because
Yeah, it's awesome.
first-hand experience. It is smart. And I mean, fast forward to when we were in cars, we would lift the arm knowing that there was a train coming because we would see it and it would be like, oh, it stopped. And so we would, but it stopped close enough to where the arm came
Please
down.
describe my face right now.
Oh, it is. You're very upset with me. Listen, we blew through. Oh, not only that, there were times when I would be in my car and I wouldn't even be the first car at the light. we'd be sitting there and we'd be sitting there for minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes, and we knew the train stopped and no one was going around the arms to cross
because there
the
was
street.
an arm to protect humanity.
We would pull out of traffic, cut through, and go through. I mean, there were sometimes traffic jams, not because of an accident.
The heights of hubris.
Not because of an accident, because like on one side going one direction, a guy would start to go around the arms. And on the other side, at the same time, someone would start to
Chicago Ridge Police, can you retroactively give tickets? Can you retroactively imprison hoodlums?
On the other side, people would start to go around, and then they would meet like kind of half in the middle, and one of them would have to figure out who's going first. I mean, primarily, though, because there was just a freaking train step there ruining everyone's day.
But you still don't go.
It's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. So I'm so glad.
You weren't hit by a train?
I'm so glad that I was not hit by a train.
I don't know what kind of cars you had as a teenager, but any kind of junker I would have had, the chance of it dying on the tracks, dying anywhere, was a huge chance.
1978 Buick LeSabre.
That LeSabre could have just went on the tracks.
I drove that car one entire summer, if not 2 summers, without reverse as a gear. My left thigh was massive because I would use it to push. I would sit in the driver's seat, open the door, and push. Like out of parking spots, push my car backwards with my left leg to reverse it.
And then how would you stop it? You would just push.
Well, stop. Oh,
because it would go to
because I'd have to be on the brakes. My right leg would be on the
that's
brake.
how cars work, isn't it? Huh.
But like if I couldn't park on a hill or a place that I could go, just put it in drive and go forward, I would have to open the door, push with my left leg to reverse it.
Did your dad know there was no reverse, or you just wouldn't tell him that?
He knew. It was the last year we were gonna have the car. So I came home from college. He's like,
last year we're gonna have the car.
Yeah. He's like, there's no reverse. You okay driving it? I was like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Did your mom know that?
Oh yeah, we'll figure it out. How often? When do you need reverse? Come on. When do you need reverse? Yeah, it's pretty great.
I mean,
it was a different time.
No, there's still people. I mean, come on. You don't have the money or whatever. You don't do it. Yeah. My brother's first car was a pony.
A pony.
Did they? I think Ford Colt. It was a Colt. It was a pony. Yeah, his first car was a pony. Yeah. It was a Colt that had no floor.
Oh boy!
It had rotted through rusted through, and so they put a wood floor on his. My dad and
as one does.
As they put a wood floor, and he bought it for $25. A $25
he bought the
car
for $25.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know if you back then you could donate your car to anything, because of course you would be like, I'll donate it $500, but. Bought it for $25.
Well, no, I mean back then in Chicago, at least, it was Victory Auto Records, the greatest commercial of all time, with the guy with the door that falls off the hinges, and he just stares at his car and goes like, shakes his head like, "Oh no, my car door fell off again." And they're like, "Bring it to Victory Auto Records. We'll give you $50."
Wow.
Yeah. So your brother could have bought 2 cars.
I know.
He should have bought the $25 car, taken it to Victory Auto Records, got $25.
Gonna
got
go from
$50.
Dayton, Ohio, all the way to Chicago without a floor in his car.
Got $50 for it, and he would have doubled his money. Boom. You know what that is? That's thinking.
So the gas and mileage on it.
Listen,
both of our last names are Polish. Are we going to have to hit some sort of stereotype?
I'm just saying.
With your reasoning?
I'm just saying. Maybe.
5-hour drive.
Maybe.
5-hour drive.
There was a local Victory Auto Records
there wasn't.
type.
We had Tom Raper RVs.
Tom Raper?
Raper RVs.
That was the name
it's
of the guy
there.
who sold
Tom
RVs.
Tom Raper RVs. It
I
was
can't
right
even,
over the Indiana border,
this
though.
This is a family friend. I can't even unpack that. We don't have enough time. We're gonna call it for today, and we're gonna visit next week. We're gonna watch more PSAs.
Because you want me to be on it, or because no one was
because
available?
I want you to be on
okay,
it. No, that's what I'm saying. I want you to
still
be on
like
this
me?
show. Oh yeah.
Okay,
this
good.
has been great.
What if you said it on here? No, that's it.
No, that's it.
I want it on Joe on Joe.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, this has actually
done.
been really great. This was listeners. This was an experiment. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. I like this deep dive into personal stories.
We should probably wear clothes next time.
Okay, that's awkward. So listen, thanks again for listening, and remember to follow me on all the various
Do
Facebooks
it. My husband's awesome.
and Gmails and all that stuff. And this is more relevant now than ever. Now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.